Hi, everyone. My name is Melody Ocasio. I am your host for Opt-in. And today we have a panel of two pre-optometry students who are currently in the application process and getting accepted into optometry school. We have both Brooke and Christopher here to just give you some advice and insight on the next steps for optometry school. So if you guys want to introduce yourself, you can.
I'm Brooke.
Hey, I'm Chris.
And then what was your major in the university?
I majored in bio.
And then I majored in psychology, but I had a minor in chemistry.
Okay. And then I'm also actually a pre-optometry student. I majored in journalism, so a little bit different, but my track was pre-optometry, just like everyone here. And then what was your pre-optometry experience when you were at school?
For me, my pre-optometry experience was getting involved with my school and community. So I did a bunch of volunteer work through a charity, and that led me to like a passion to photography too. But then also in school, I joined the science union and became the president. So I've been able to be really involved with my school and community that way.
And then mine, back when I was in school, I had initially planned on applying. I did apply to medical school. So my pre-optometry career was all sort of geared toward a more medical model. I volunteered at like the St. Louis Children's Hospital, and I did a lot of volunteer work through. And then I worked at an emergency room after that in Newport Beach. So that's how I got started on the field of optometry.
Very cool. And when did you guys start studying for the OAT?
I started studying right after the term ended, so end of April till the start of July.
And have you taken your OAT already?
Yeah.
Okay.
About the same. Well, I started studying. It's been a long time since I've been in school. I took quite a few gap years, so I needed a little bit of extra time to study. So I started studying not too intensely, but around the beginning of the year. So in January, and then I took my OAT on July 2nd.
Okay. And then what was your toughest subject? Because I know for me personally, physics is kind of like a very big barrier for me. So I definitely used Crack the OAT myself before I even started this podcast with them. And they helped me organize myself. So how did you guys kind of navigate with our study site?
The subject that I struggled with was organic chem, and just having all the videos laid out, plus the flashcards there, and so many practice tests helped me so much just realize what I didn't know and be able to go back to the videos, relate to those, and study more with those.
Yeah, for me, physics is definitely my toughest subject as well. And like I said, it's been a long time since I've been in college, and I didn't remember any of that. I remembered my chemistry stuff, but physics I was so happy to get rid of and never remember again. But so Crack the OAT really helped with all the videos, setting it up in the format of giving you the day by day or the week by week what you need to study and how you need to learn it, and just giving you all the extra resources. I know while I was using it, physics, more resources in physics became available. Like there was already a standard thing of videos, and then they released more. So that helped me being able to reference more materials from that.
Good. And then I know you guys mentioned basically your pre-optometry experience was a little bit different, obviously, because Christopher, you kind of had it more geared toward medical, but Brooke, you still, had that pre-optometry experience kind of like geared in there. But is there one that maybe you think sets you apart on your applications for optometry school, or one that you enjoyed more that you think that other students across the US should get involved in?
I think shadowing was a big part too. I guess I didn't mention that earlier, but I shadowed an optometrist for 80 hours, and just like understanding the career path and like the atmosphere and all that is like super important, because like it is what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. So having that edge and being able to write about it in your personal essay, and how like those optometrists, their qualities helped you like develop qualities that you want to have in the future as an optometrist, I think that'll set you apart for sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty lucky as far as this goes. When it comes to applications, I went to my undergraduate. I had a full ride athletic scholarship. I'm actually a world champion skeet shooter, which is really random. So people always want to talk about that in every interview. So I had that, and then my volunteer experience was with children in the Children's Hospital, and also reading is fundamental. It's like a really large nonprofit organization for illiteracy. So my skeet shooting and the reading volunteer work all has to do with vision as well. So that easily ties in there. So those things, obviously, if you aren't a world champion skeet shooter, I agree with Brooke. It definitely, it's just the more hours you have, that's what the admissions committees really look at to see that you are invested in it. And so I think that's another thing that can set you apart for sure.
Okay, good. And then I know, Brooke, you are in the midst of applying, and Christopher has already gotten accepted into optometry school, which is great to hear. But basically, we want to kind of see that before and after, which is great because we have you two. So, Brooke, how do you expect to go into your interviews and kind of maybe set yourself apart, or even just mention one moment of your time in college that you were like, this is why I want to do optometry, or even in a sense, why optometry is perfect for your future?
Yeah, so I feel like in my interview, I just want to be myself. Like I have a lot of experience shadowing optometrists. I've been able to shadow 4 different optometrists. So I've been able to see like a wide range of like how different optometrists practice. And I became first like interested in optometry when I was in junior high, actually, because I had eye ulcers. So that was super painful and I had to go to the optometrist a lot. So just like having that, like I do have a passion for it because it like helped me and cured my pain.
From like
so,
personal experience.
yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, when I first knew that I wanted to be an optometry student, well, back when I was younger and I was doing all my skeet shooting, we did use different color lenses to manipulate your field of vision to be able to see the targets better. So that was kind of like my first interest in that. But then I had an eye infection last summer, and it went, and my primary care physician couldn't figure it out. She thought I had like a corneal abrasion, but then it didn't get better because she didn't prescribe me antibiotics. So I went to an optometrist, and they were like, if you ever have anything wrong with your eye, you come to us, like you don't go anywhere else.
Yeah.
And that's when I really realized that, optometrists do so much more than just give you contacts and glasses.
Just give you prescription.
Literally. And so that's when I was like, oh, this is definitely what I want to do.
Yeah, no, I'm currently working as an ophthalmic technician, and I think they realize that optometrists do a lot more than the 1 and 2, like you're better 1 or 2. So I think it's just exciting also educating people on the idea that most people do go to an optometrist, but they don't know they do. They just can see them as the eye doctor. So when I said pre-optometry, they're like, what is that? And I'm like, well, you're wearing glasses, so you know.
Exactly.
So it's definitely more, I think us as the future, graduating classes, we have to definitely try to like change the stigma of like different medical doctors and like different optometric doctors, even dental, like everybody has a place in the field of medicine. It's just that, optometrists definitely do garner their respect because they study hard and they do awesome things, because literally the eyes are the window to the soul is what I say, because you can detect quite literally almost everything. Yeah. But when you guys go to optometry school, do you want to specialize in anything, or do you have a route that you want to do, maybe more of like the medical side of things? If you want to work with sports, how is it for you in the future, you think?
I really want to work with sports. Like Christopher said, I also had a scholarship to play basketball like at my university right now. So like that's like super interesting to be able to work with athletes, but I also love little kids. So I was thinking pediatrics would be fun too.
Literally the exact same thing.
No, okay, so me too. I am very into peds, and I'm very into sports vision, and I know sports vision's a growing field. And I too kind of like grew up with that sports background, and sports vision was a very like small field to the point of people didn't really quite understand why you were training your eyes, training your mind, but that can overtly like enhance your sports performance. So that's also a great thing. And then in terms of your actual interview, Christopher, because I know you've already been accepted into schools, how was that interview process? Because I know there's not so many people we can ask, since again, optometry is small. So we want to kind of just give our listeners a little bit of an insight on like, not to be nervous, but to just kind of go for it.
Yeah, definitely. So I interviewed at 2 schools. I'm from Arizona, so I interviewed in Arizona. And then I live in Chicago now, so I interviewed at ICO. And my advice is to really, I know it sounds so cliche, but just be yourself. And I know everyone says this, but they really try and make you feel as most comfortable as possible. Because if you get an interview, you're almost there. They really want you to come to their school, and it's really just to see if you vibe with that program, and if they think that you'd be a good fit for them. So it really is just try and relax. Prepare for the questions that ask you. Like I was out of school for 9 years after college and coming back now. So I knew they were going to ask me, how are you going to be able to handle this class load? How are you going to be able to handle returning to academics? So those few things like that, they're going to ask you those. Besides that, just be prepared to, be yourself and be very engaging, and just really just relax and make sure to ask them questions about the program. That's the big thing that they really look for as well. Like, do your homework before. I'd say like for a good 2 weeks before, like be on their website, know everything about the program. You don't have to memorize like everybody on the faculty or things like that, but just go in there with some good questions that show that you are interested in their program.
And then your 2 interviews for Arizona and then ICO, were they in person, virtual?
I did in person with both of them.
Okay.
Yeah. So I went to Arizona and it was a 2 optometrist panel. So 2 optometrists interviewed me in the faculty, and then ICO was a one-on-one.
Okay, cool. And then I'm not sure if they have specified to you, because I know different schools have like blind or partially blind, where like someone comes in and they don't quite know about you, which is kind of great, I think, because they just see the person holistically before they actually start judging on your grades or your extracurriculars. So do you know how that was for each interview?
So for sure. And I definitely recommend you asking the admissions committee, because you're allowed to ask them that before you go. So I emailed both Arizona and ICO asking if it was open or closed. And Arizona, they said it was partially closed. So the interviewers only had my personal statement and like my resume. They didn't have my grades. And then ICO was a completely open file. So they had everything.
Okay.
Which I like better. I like them knowing that I had really good grades in my undergraduate, so I wanted them to have that in front of them on the desk.
Yeah. And I know that there are some students that maybe get a little bit afraid because their grades maybe weren't the best, but their test score was good, or even vice versa. Like your test score is great, but your grades aren't so much. But at the end of the day, I think that if you go to one of those interviews that totally open, you just kind of have to embrace the fact that you have those grades and you have that test score, and be like, this may seem like I'm not prepared or even, ready, but you just have to kind of own the fact that like their passion for the field is definitely going to make you push harder when you're in this 4-year program. And
exactly. And like,
definitely important.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, if you get the interview, you're almost there. They really want you. And so, what's the thing, the part of your application that's the lowest. Of course, everyone has like the thing where it's like, okay, and then this is the thing that's maybe a little below average. So they're going to ask you about that. So just practice in the mirror, talking to yourself, answering the question, practice with your friends, and you'll do great.
And I know you both wrote personal statements, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then how did you, I also wrote my personal statement, and the question I think is very kind of like, why do you want to be an optometrist? And it's, at the end of the day, I feel like a lot of people want to try to set themselves apart when they're talking about trying to be in the medical field, because at the end of the day, most of the people that are in the field want to help people. But obviously just saying you want to help people isn't quite enough. You kind of want to put something maybe more specific, or even like, again, just kind of set yourself apart and have your own thing. So how did you guys navigate the personal statement?
I use just my example as like having eye ulcers as like my kind of like gateway into why I want to become an optometrist, and then like being able to like shadow so much really like nail home the idea that like that's exactly what I want to do.
Okay, great. So you use that personal like story and then kind of just stemmed from there. Good.
Then I definitely related it back to my skeet shooting as well. I said I wanted to be an optometrist who was able to provide eye care to someone that like I had, and to enable me to set all these records and win these championships.
Okay.
Then I just went into liking the flexibility of the degree and just showing that you can do like low vision rehabilitation, manage ocular disease. So just to show that you do know it's more than just 1 or 2 prescribed.
Exactly. And I think it's also very important for students to be prepared about knowing a little bit about what's happening in the field. I think a lot of the time you go into that interview very nervous about talking about maybe yourself or your accomplishments, but I think it's also important to just say like, hey, like I know this is going on and this is what I'm interested in. Because I have a current job as a technician, like I know about the new injections or, you know, different eye diseases. So it's like, if you have that personal story like Brooke, it's like kind of keep up to date in that realm of like that part of the eye. And then Christopher, you have that tie with sports, you know, so it's like maybe even talk about a little bit of why sports vision is like so powerful. So I think that's also important for students to just kind of like do a little bit of research, not on the school, but a little bit of research in the eye field in general, because it just shows how passionate you are about you immersing yourself into like that future profession. And so basically we're about to wrap up, but I just wanted to ask you guys if you guys had any advice for these future students, whether they're freshmen or they're taking a gap year just like me. And I know, Christopher, you said you took one, or even Brooke, you're still in school. So at the end of the day, we just want to help anybody that we can who's maybe on the edge about optometry or just really nervous about applying.
I think the one thing you can do if you are on the edge about wanting to be an optometrist is go shadow an optometrist and go see if you like it. And if that sparks an interest, great. And when it's time to study for the OAT, crack the OAT, because that did help me a lot.
Exactly what Brooke said. Definitely go shadow your optometrist. Everyone in the field is so welcoming and they want you to be there with them. They've all been so nice. So you can definitely reach out to your own optometrist or anyone in the neighborhood. Go shadow them. Crack the OAT helped me so much. I know I live in like a metropolitan area, so I take the train everywhere. So what really helped me especially was having the mobile version of it, which you get when you buy it as well. So every time I was on the train, it's normally an hour of dead time. I was able to like flip through flashcards and do like mini quizzes on the train. So it helps you like, you know, be able to study at all times of the day.
Yeah.
And start with your subject that you're the worst in.
Yeah.
Or for me, organic chemistry is my best subject. So I kind of waited till the end and was able to cram easier with that at the end of it. But physics, start with your worst and then work your way to your best.
No, and I definitely know that as a student or even anybody wants to save a little bit of money where they can. And I feel like Crack the OAT has a very good bang for your buck, if you will, because it's 6 months of information. And then you can always email and be like, hey, I'd like some more time with this. And they can always work with you personally. It's a very one-on-one kind of tailored thing. And I know other study sites are a little bit shorter or they don't have as many options, whether it's mobile or computer like. So Crack the OAT just here to help everybody. And we're just really glad that Brooke and Christopher could join us today. Thank you guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.